All good. All good.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Well, here we go. Let's rock and roll. Hello, podcast land, wherever you're listening today on YouTube or Spotify. We have Phantom High on the show today. I'm being joined by Peril, and Phantom High has been busy as hell in 2020. Obviously, this is the very beginning of 2021. We're having this conversation. Which case, you came across my desk a few weeks ago. And if it weren't for the holidays, we would have been having this chat sooner, but, you know, just how life goes. But I wanted to welcome you to the show, Peril.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah.
Very
Absolutely great to have you on. Now, one of the things I opened up with there was that you guys were absolutely just freaking busy as hell. And I know that John had sent me Black Divine, and one of the things I like to have, for fodder for the show is more than just one track. Sometimes I will, pretty rarely. But I wanted something more. And because I dug what I saw. I dug what I heard. I like it. I like what you guys are doing. I think there takes a lot of care. I'm going to use the word care to construct what it is that you guys are doing. It's not easy.
Yeah, it's people always ask where our sound came from, and it's kind of unconventional, but my favorite thing about maybe the 2000s was when heavy bands started covering pop songs. And I always dug that because I love the pop song structure, and I'm actually like a huge Max Martin fan, and I follow songwriting, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so I thought, wow, wouldn't it be cool to start a band where all of the songs sound like a heavy band covered a pop song, so just write the pop song and then destroy it as and so that's kind of our sound. That's kind of where we come from. That was the goal going in. So if it sounds poppy, it's not an accident. There's a sense of irony in there, but I like the contrast of ethereal, hooky melody, and then the schizophrenia of, going back and forth with heavy stuff.
Mm-hmm. No, I got that. And I thought it was very well done. And one of the things I wanted to chat about was, how did you guys narrow in on a producer to help you guys craft this sound? Or is that something that you guys do internally?
Yeah, everything. I not to be that guy, not looking for the attaboy, but I did everything. Yeah, I wrote and produced it, not by choice, not out of some specificity or being picky. It's just we can't in this era. There's artist development that we don't have money to do what we want to do as far as production, and locally we hadn't found anybody that really gets it. Everybody kind of tries to put you in whatever it is that they see, which is cool at times, but we couldn't find anybody to do what we wanted to do. So I took almost a 5-year digression from guitar playing and all of that stuff. I was never a singer before 2016, never in my life. And I only took the vocal spot as a muse to, make the band proceed, but ended up being stuck with it. So I'm a guitarist that wants to do all things guitar, but has to be a vocalist now. But yeah, I had
poor thing, Peril. You poor thing.
I had to take over 5 years of learning how to produce, mix, engineer, just all of the basics. And I mean, just like my vocals, it's not technical, but I managed to make it musical, and so we ended up with what we have. In the future, I'd love to find somebody that kind of does what we do. There's a guy named Churko. He originates from out west. He's in LA or Las Vegas, I think now, and he does Ozzy and In This Moment and Five Finger Death Punch and all of those really super, super popular acts. And someday we'd love to do something with somebody like him or a Rick Rubin. But yeah, I had to do all of that because there's nobody else to do it. So here we are.
Here we are on the Rock Metal Podcast. Well,
Yes.
I saw the custom pickups, so I thought maybe behind the scenes, you do some guitar stuff. So
Yeah, always. We're spreading it out a little bit more now as we get more acquainted as band members. So we're integrating input from the rest of the band moving forward. There'll be little bits here and there, more instead of just the me show, because oftentimes doing the writing and recording, it's just me. So that's who's available to do it, and then everybody else kind of fills in the gaps later on. But now that we've got some downtime and some different things are going on, I really want to try and get some of the, a full band sound into what we do.
Mm-hmm. Well, something else that you had mentioned, you mentioned having difficulty finding people, I'm just going to say in Ontario, understanding your vision. And I've said this many times, I can tell when a band is from Ontario. They have a sound. And I don't know if that's because there are a couple of bands that got really big and everybody's just trying to copy them, or if there's something in the water, but I can usually tell when a band is from Ontario. There's a sound. And you guys aren't following that paradigm.
No, we try not to. One of the things that I noticed, and speaking to that, I wonder if it's maybe the music scene here is really tightly knit. Everybody knows everybody, and I wonder if that sound is something that people do purposefully. I don't know. I've often noticed that as well. You can kind of tell where bands, and I guess every city maybe or province, state has their thing. But my influence was always, like Korn, Deftones, Faith No More, and different things like that. And so that's what I went after. Alice in Chains, all of those things that I grew up with. Those were my mentors writing wise, so we tend to err on the side of that. Also, I'm full disclosure, I'm a dual citizen, so I've lived in the States half of my life and here, so I kind of toggle back and forth depending on where I feel like. So maybe that influence has played a part as well.
Mm-hmm. Could be. All right. Now, go ahead and take us through, because in the beginning there, before we hit record, you had mentioned that when 2020 started happening, you guys had lost some shows, lost a tour. I'm sure a lot of bands listening in right now can definitely feel that. I know as a podcaster, I lost a lot of backstage passes that I was really looking forward to interviews for. That kind of thing. So you said we have to change directive, and it looks like it was to just release content like hell. There was an EP, The Conjured, that I have up here on Spotify, The Exorcist and Black Divine, which is the latest one, with a stellar, stunning music video to accompany it, which sounded like quite a bit of lunch money went into that as well. So
Yeah.
Maybe take us through 2020. Since we're in the beginning of 2021, I guess we have some permission to do that. But take us through what's led us up to this point here.
So going into 2020, we had built a little bit of a buzz here in Toronto and circuit spreading out. From our live performances, that's kind of our has been our momentum. When people see us live, they're like, oh, okay, wow, that's, because that was we're an experience, live. That's what we shoot for more so than anything else. And we had built up. We had did the Krampus Ball, and here at the Opera House in Toronto, which is a fairly prestigious spot to do. And then, we were lining up our 2020. Unbeknownst to us, what would happen. So January, we did a few shows. We did a February show. And I think we did the last show in Toronto, the last major club show they closed the city down a day and a half after we did that, and we played that show with Sulphur from the UK, and Primitive Evolution, and a band called On, formerly Acid Test, I believe. And then we had a show, major show with the Birthday Massacre and Julian K from Cali, former Orgy members, and that was going to be a really big show for us. And then we had a potential for a tour that with one of those bands that may or may not have happened in the fall. And it all went away. And we noticed that, okay, we've got all this content from our shows, we've got this buzz from our shows, that's how we're connecting with people. What now? What are we, how are we going to move forward? Like, we can't let everything die, all of this momentum that we've worked all through 2019 and the beginning of 2020 to get, what do we do with that? And we had been planning to spread out as well and do some target shows in the U.S. In small groups, clusters like Midwest and the Southwest, and do little. So we're going to buy a van, and we'd been saving for that, and we knew that had gone away, and that was going to be no use to us in the coming year and a half at least. So we spent it on the video, and we're like, that's how we'll get into people's living rooms and how we'll put ourselves in front of more people. And it's gone pretty well, but yeah, 2-3 times the work for content in 2020. We had to dedicate ourselves full time to just generating content, and wow, it's crazy. Yeah. Especially to create the illusion that there's something happening when maybe there isn't. Maybe there is, but maybe there isn't.
Right. Exactly. Now, take us through this music video then. Did you guys do this like during lockdown?
We did this in September, and we filmed it at William F. White Film Studio. It's kind of like the Hollywood of Toronto. It's where they do a lot of movie shoots and stuff like that. A giant building. Yeah, we had to we did the COVID laser testing going in and everything. Everybody wore masks, and it was, if you weren't on camera, you were away from everybody else and fully masked. So there was some strategy involved there in getting that done, and minimal people in different places that, we would have liked to have more people. We would have liked to have had a few more scenes, but due to the circumstances, we had to pretty much just operate out of that film studio. So,
did you guys go in knowing what you were going to do for a video? Because the whole thing looks, the song you guys picked, the video itself, it almost works together too perfectly.
Oh, thank you. We did not, because there was some stuff that happened with COVID related. The director and the DOP and the producer, they couldn't get together. We didn't have a storyboard going in. It was kind of just chaos, half organized, half unorganized, just due to the nature of what we were operating within. So we didn't have. We lost a scene in the video that would have lent a little bit more depth to what we were doing, and we just did the best to make it visually attractive with what we had.
Well, and the reaction that I'm getting, or at least that I'm reading on the comments on YouTube, it seems like it's hit, and we have unique and bold AF. I don't know what AF means, but just kidding. I know what that means. Sick track, slick vid, all banger. It is a banger. Somebody else said sick. There's a lot of illness going on wherever this AF is.
There's a lot of illness.
Certainly is a lot of illness. Let's see here. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, we have a cross between Korn and Slipknot. Somebody said a cross between Korn and Slipknot, and I believe at least Korn was mentioned in the thing. And you mentioned Orgy, and the funny thing is when you mentioned, I don't know if people consider them a metal band or not, I don't know, but you mentioned like early 2000s heavy bands covering pop songs, and one of the ones that was in the back of my noggin was Orgy, and I don't even know if they ever. Yeah, they did. They did Blue Monday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that shows how old I am. I was in junior high when that happened. Down memory lane. Beautiful. But no, it looks like it's hitting, and that's exciting. So with everything being online, like when you're playing a show, you get feedback immediately, whether you're doing something right or not, or whether the crowd's getting it or not.
Absolutely.
What's that been like, hitting the keyboard from behind the scenes? Are you still able to get feedback?
Yeah, it's there's some of it, to be honest, gets lost in translation, but I think that's every band. And yeah, it's weird because the video is really awesome, and the people that worked on it, we had a guy named Rich Meisner, and the DOP's name was Benji, and they work for a company called Cut Cartel, and they do really, really amazing work. And we just did the best with what we could, because of the time. But yeah, I think had I have known what we were going to do with the video, I might have picked a different song to kind of lead the charge, because it was a very story-based song, and I don't know if I can see there's a disconnect between what we did and what I was pushing. So I think the connection that we would have got live with that, people kind of get it. And it's a work in progress as far as learning how to make that connection and make that impact without being face to face with people. It's definitely a learning experience, a learning curve for us. That this will be our 2021 mission.
Okay, and you mentioned a story behind Black Divine. What is that story?
So Black Divine, I wrote. It's kind of all of my life. I've had, I've been kind of non-binary, obviously, all my life, and some of it is connected to artistry. And I was watching a documentary on ancient Egypt, and they were talking about sacred or divine feminine, which is what the energy that they associate with basically all of the arts. There's a lot of other things too, but anything artistic, music, art, what have you, they associate as a feminine energy. And so when I heard that, I was like, wow, that's really cool, because maybe this is the energy that some of my artistry originates from. So Black Divine is kind of like a dark play on that concept. And basically what it was about being different and finding solace in whatever that catharsis is, whether it's music for me, whether it's art for some, whether it's fashion expression or whatever. This is the thing, their kind of guardian angel energy, that sits behind them. Their Black Divine is the thing that, when you feel like giving up on life, this is where your head goes, and it's the safe place that you go into, or the happy place. And that's what it was about. And it's kind of abstract in the verses. It's talking about people mocking you for that. But the basic concept of the song is not caring and just finding that solace or that catharsis in whatever that vision is that you have that keeps you going.
I dig it.
Yeah, it's a long-winded explanation, but
I think you did well, Peril. I think you did well. Yeah, feminine energy is the creation energy. That's where things come from.
Yeah, for sure.
So
for sure.
Makes sense to me anyway. I mean, somebody said once, "You think women aren't strong? They give birth to men."
True. Yeah, I've heard that as well. That's a great point.
Yeah. Groovy. Okay. Now you mentioned something else that I wanted to touch base on, which was a mission for 2021, and I just wanted you to expand on that, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we're going to take what we learned with this video and what we've used for content in 2020, and we're going to make that our priority. We're going to do more videos. We have plans for content. We have plans for merch. We have we're just this new paradigm that we're in. We've been fine tuning it, trying to figure out how we're going to proceed. We did two live streams in 2020. We're not going to do another one until we figure out how to make it, to put value in it. I think a lot of people are just firing off because they feel like they need to do shows, but there's a lot of them that I see, and without the live face-to-face, there's just something missing with the connection. Mm-hmm. And, I've lost interest in a lot of them and a lot of bands that I like, So 2020, we're going to try and figure out how to do something that puts value in that experience. So that's our mission for 2021, is how to make the impact that we made live from behind the keyboard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a tricky one. I've seen a lot of live streams, and I've seen ones that were cool.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot that weren't. And I think a lot of things people have tried, like drive-in tours, or I've even seen online tours where they make live streams only available in certain countries at certain times or whatever. Like, I don't know. One of the things I dig about your guys' approach is mostly what I've heard chatting with bands throughout all of 2020 is it'll be over any minute now. This false sense of hope, whereas you guys said, cool, this is a paradigm shift. How do we roll with this wave?
How do we roll with it? How do we capitalize? How do we exploit that? What's happening right now? Where's the good things? There's lots of cool things, opportunities that present themselves. Like, what platform have we been given in this deficit that we might exploit? And so that's kind of what we're trying to figure out for 2021. Don't try and roll against change, because it's going to happen, and you're going to expend all your energy on that. Yeah, I would do a drive-in show. I mean, if Steel Panther did it, I'd do it. So,
yeah, boom. Okay, now I know we had planned on chatting about a lot of stuff, but we definitely filled up our time. Chat about Black Divine, music video, how 2020 went, plans for 2021. Chatted about a lot of really good stuff here. Is there anything that I missed that you wanted to make sure that we touched base on, Peril?
No, I think we're good. I'm still getting the hang of the interview things myself. So this was great. Very, very interesting. I had a great time.
Sweet. Well, I'm glad you did. Awesome. Yeah, the only other questions I'd have is just from a production standpoint, because you said that you did the mixing and mastering yourself?
Yes.
Recording as well?
Yes.
Okay.
We did everything. We did everything in our apartment. We have an apartment that is relatively vacant, except for us, the whole building. Mm-hmm. So we can just crank it up and mic guitar amps and scream and do all those things. So we have that on our side as well.
Okay. Especially when you're wearing a custom pickup shirt. I was going to are those pickups on the record?
Everything. That's all we use exclusively, and it's not just because it's an endorsement. It's because I've been a guitar player for 20 years, and I've been through every single brand you could imagine. And these guys, not only are they Canadian, they're local here in Ontario. They deal with like Rick Emmett and I think Prince's band, and they just any number of really cool people under the radar. And I'm never going back to anything else. There was easily a 15% increase in our production quality and in our sound with these guys. And just amazing. I can't emphasize that enough.
Okay. I'm on their website now. I'm going to take a look into it. I myself have been playing for like 20, 25 years. but I have never heard of them. But then again, I'm pretty much just I got some DiMarzios and I just kind of stuck with them for the last like 20 years, just kind of one of those things, truth be told. And in my head, it was either that or EMG, and I don't like EMGs.
Yeah,
they sound sterile to me, like I'm in a hospital.
That's a very political answer. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
I don't use them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, of course. And especially in metal, it's kind of like, you need EMG 81s. That's what you need. Like, okay, fine. But no, I'm definitely going to take a look at this, especially because they're Canadian. Like I switched over to Godin guitars because they're Canadian, and I was just wanting to get more involved in like the Canadian side of things. Like we have such a great landscape to produce our own drums, our own guitars, our own everything. And
to be honest, I was hesitant to go with a local company. I know that sounds horrible, but you just think, you want to shoot for the top. And you want to go for the big brands, and they're big brands for a reason, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
And I started out just being friends with them and following what they do for a number of years before we kind of connected. And when I got my first set of pickups, neodymium magnet, just incredible. And I can't. Yeah, they blew me away, and they're kind of the guys from DiMarzio call Smitty at MJS to ask him questions about things like that's the stature of this guy. So yeah, I highly recommend checking them out.
Very cool. I am doing it now. Which ones were the ones that you said that you have?
I think they're called the Black Earth.
Okay, I will look for them. And we can also put a link to it in the show notes. I'll put a link, mjscustompickups.com.
Absolutely. And they will make anything you need.
Beautiful.
To tailor it. And that's the craziness of it. They actually listen to what you play and sit with it and then get back to you and propose, hey, I think this frequency range, this type of pickup, this type of magnet, this type of wind. Yeah, it's insane.
Wow. That's cool. That gets me excited on all different kinds of levels.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. All right. Well, since we have covered everything in detail and you have had a good time, that concludes my purpose in life. And I just wanted to thank you for coming on to the Rock Metal Podcast today.
Thanks so much, John. And would love to come back. Maybe when things enable the entire band to chip in, that would be awesome.
Yeah, when you guys have some new stuff, granted it doesn't suck, we can have you
best.
Beautiful.
Thanks so much, John.